Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters and relatives and friends. This is a continuation of the commandments. And as I was saying in the last video, I'm speaking about the third commandment, commandment number 3, which is you shall, I'll just put my glasses on, which is you shall not make wrong use of the name of Yahweh, commonly called God in our Western culture, Yahuwah your Elohim, because Yahweh will not leave unpunished the man or the woman that makes wrong use of his name. And another understanding of that in the Hebraic sense is that you shall not lift up or represent the characteristic of your Creator to deceive, to use even the title God to deceive people falsely in teaching them to oppose the commandments. So that's what I'll still be talking about, and this video is just a continuation. So I just want to say this little prayer to Abba Father. Thank you, Abba Father, our perfect Father, for the revelation knowledge that your name, Yahuwah, and your son's name, Yahushua, has equal force and power and authority as your word. The name and the word carry the same measure, weight, and balance, because you tell us so in Revelation 19, verse 11 to 13. It's all about your perfect son, Yahushua, who is the living word, the living law, the living Torah, with the name called the Word of Elohim. So I thank you, O Yahuwah, for your understanding. So I just want to take this opportunity to read Revelation 19, verse 11 to 13. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon it is called faithful and true, and in righteousness Yeshua does judge and make war. Yeshua's eyes were as flame of fire, and on Yahushua's head were many, many crowns. Yeshua had a name written that no man knew but himself. Yeshua is clothed with a vesture, a garment dipped in blood, and Yahushua his name is called the Word of Elohim. So the name and the word has equal force and equal power. That's why our Creator, our perfect Father in heaven, gave us the law that we should not use his name in vain to deceive the brothers and the sisters, the Sunday churchgoers, to break Abba Father commandment. Use his name. Even if you substitute a name for the title God, you are still using his word to deceive the masses. So that's what this number 3 commandment is all about. It's about reverence and respecting the word and the name, which is the authority of our Father, our Creator. So I'll just continue to read about the third commandment. So one of the most significant ways in our modern age and Western civilization, Western culture, that we replace the sham, which is Yahweh's breath, is Yahweh's authority, which we replace the sham, the authority of Elohim, which is our perfect Father's integrity. And therefore his name, we replace his authority with the title God. And use the title God, which is not our Creator's name, to deceive the flock of sheep, the masses of people, the brothers and the sisters that fill the Sunday churches. Because we know that you're breaking the commandment, because Sunday is not the biblical Sabbath. So obviously right there, you're using the word of Elohim to deceive the flocks in breaking his commandment. Because Saturday is the biblical Sabbath. Yes, in our Western culture, Western civilization, Sunday churchianity, we use the title God and the word of Elohim to teach the congregation of Sunday churchgoers denominational doctrine and not Elohim's true biblical commandments. Thus, giving no honor and no character, no respect to the attributes and the essence and the esteem of the Torah and the law and the commandments, the wisdom of Yahuwah and the word of Elohim. In our Sunday churches, we're taught by the pastors to misuse and take the honor of the name of Yahuwah in vain, even though they substitute the name for God, the title God, but they use it in vain. In biblical Hebrew, vain means the Western world, the Western culture use the title God, and Torahlessness, meaning not honoring and keeping Elohim's commandments. So no law, no Torah, no commandment keeping, bring all those denominations and the flocks of sheep worship to vain. That's one of the ways you take the Elohim name in vain, which in Hebrew means it brings your worship to worthlessness. It's empty worship, emptiness, and you're worshiping Elohim in deceit, and you're worshiping your pastors, the preachers in our Sunday churches. Teach us to worship Elohim in falsehood because we're breaking his commandments and in lies. So that's what vain means in the Hebrew, the Hebraic sense. So absolutely, when we are misled by our pastors and our teachers in the Sunday churches not to keep Yahuwah's commandment, which is Yahweh wisdom and Torah, and not to keep his true Sabbath day, which is not Sunday, it is Saturday, and Yahweh's feast days and the feast days of the King of Kings, you misuse the truth, the word of Elohim and commandments by using the title God and the Bible, which is Yahweh's word, to teach in vain, which means you're teaching all our brothers and sisters and my relatives and friends in the Sunday churches, you're teaching them to deceit, you're teaching them deception, you're teaching them emptiness and vanities, lies, and worthless worship. If you are indoctrinated to view the Old Testament, the Torah, the Old Testament, and Elohim laws as worthless and of no importance in our modern technological age. Also, if the pastors use the true name Yahuwah, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, and they use Yahushua HaMashiach name, but teach deceitful doctrines, the doctrines of men to the brethren, to the brothers and the sisters, then they also make Yahuwah's commandments and this third commandment, you're teaching empty doctrine and you make it vain and empty and worthless, of no significance to the brothers and sisters because they're not obeying Abba Father. They also, yes, so if you're teaching using Yeshua, the correct name, and using Yahuwah, our Father's name, but you're teaching doctrine of men, then the worship is also empty. We know that, as I was saying before, vain in Hebrew, when God, Yahweh says, you shall not make wrong use of the name of Elohim, because Elohim will not leave unpunished the man and the woman who takes his name in vain. So vain means to make Yahuwah's name and your worship, to bring the sovereign King of Kings name and wisdom, his Torah, his law, to nothingness. You bring it all, your worship and your teachings, vanity, make it as vanity, as Solomon says in Ecclesiastic. When we are, he says, all is vanity. So that's what our worship becomes when we are taking Elohim's name in vain, as he says as he commands us not to do in the third commandment. When we are indoctrinated by theology learned in religion and the churchianity of the world, then the masses of Christian believers listen to vain emptiness of their pastor's doctrine that opposes Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh or Yahweh's commandments, thus making their worship worthless and the wisdom of Elohim, law or Torah, of no effect. To not take Elohim's name in vain means we must all truthfully and respectfully represent our King accurately, sincerely, and in honor. This third commandment is all about our reverencing and respecting our Father and his law. It's about our reverence to the authority, the esteem, and the characteristic, and the wisdom and the truth of our Creator. So I just have to find where I am. This third commandment reflects and encompasses our attitude, speech, and our consequent behavior, our action, our walk with Elohim. We are to truthfully honor our Elohim. I'll read it again. We are to truthfully honor who Elohim is, which is what the real name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh or Yahuwah stands, and his son's name Yahushua HaMashiach brings or revealed to us. It is all about loving and respecting who our Elohim is by not replacing and dishonoring and blaspheming the true Shem of Yahuwah. Because as I was saying before, the Shem of Yahuwah is about Yahuwah's breath. It's about Yahuwah's authority and about Yahuwah's breath. The Shem of Yahuwah and the name of Yahuwah that Abba Father has been giving me a revelation of his name. You've seen that I've been I've been trying to understand about the name and telling my relatives and friends that they should be using the name. And they said, why is it significant? Why can't we just continue calling him God and Lord and calling his son Jesus Christ? And I'm saying, if Yahweh bring us his name, obviously it's very important to him that we recognize that he does have a name and not just the title God, Lord, and the nickname that we've given his son, the nickname Jesus Christ. So Yahweh's name is all about Elohim's Sham, which is the breath and the breath of Elohim. So we first hear of the breath of Elohim, which is very important in Genesis 1. In Genesis 1. So in Genesis 1, verse 26, Yahweh says, Let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the bird of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image, in the image of Elohim, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Yahuwah Sabaoth. He created him, male and female, he created them. And Yahweh blessed male and female and says, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Subdue the earth, have dominion over the earth and over the fish of the sea, over the bird, over everything that moves upon the earth. And Yahweh gave Adam all his dominion. So we can see the breath, the Shem of Elohim is about the representation of Elohim is integrity, is law, is honor, is virtue, the bond of Elohim, the existence of Elohim, the presence of Elohim, that he and his attribute and characteristic that he breathed, the Shem, he breathed into Adam, so Adam could become a functioning being to do the work that Elohim wanted him to do, to function as like Abba Father and have dominion over the world that Abba Father created and gave him dominion over. And in these last days, that's why Abba Father Yahuwah, our perfect Father, is bringing many sons and daughters to glory and priests and kings, so we can carry on the same mandate and same agenda of having dominion over Yahweh's creation, because Yahweh created Adam and then brought Shava to him to rule his world and in righteousness and in purity, in love and justice and equity. And that's still Yahweh's the original plan, is still the agenda of Abba Father. So that's why Yahuwah Sabaoth name is very important, and his name is his Shem, is his integrity, is his identity, is his breath, is him filling Adam with a representation, a prototype and a shadow of himself to rule over his herd, not in violence and thievery and trickery and lies, but in justice and righteousness and purity. This is still Abba Father's agenda. So that's why we should not take Abba's name in vain, because the word and the name is of equal force and power and carries the same measure and the same weight. So that's all about the authority and the Shem, the word of Elohim. So I'll just continue here to read about the third commandment. So it is all about loving and respecting our Elohim by not replacing and dishonoring and blaspheming the true Shem, the breath, the authority of Elohim, the characteristic of Elohim, the integrity of Elohim, the Torah, the law, the wisdom of Elohim, and the word of Elohim. We should not be replacing and dishonoring, blaspheming the true sham, the authority and the wisdom of Yahuwah. We should not lift up or represent the attributes and the characteristic of our sovereign creator, our perfect father, who is light. Yahweh is, and Yahushua is the light, the truth, the way, and the life. And we should not represent our father falsely by teaching the masses of churchgoers to oppose Elohim commandments, because we can see the opposition when we are not keeping his biblical Sabbath, which is Saturday, and we do not honor his feast days, his feast days that is written about in Leviticus. So I just also want to read this passage, which is in the Greek Septuagint. It was a part of the Old Testament that was taken out, and it is Sirach. It's about the wisdom, and it's about wisdom and the law of Elohim. So wisdom is the law which Moses, this is from the book called Sirach. So I'm reading Sirach 24 and verse 23, part of the Greek Septuagint. It's a book called Sirach. So wisdom is the law which Moses commanded us to keep, the covenant of the Most High. We have to keep our perfect Father's law and honor his perfect Son, Yahushua, who is the living word called, the living word, the living Torah made flesh, name. His name is the word of Elohim. So the name equals the word in force and power, and we have to honor both. So wisdom is the law which Moses commanded us to keep, the covenant of Elohim Most High. The inheritance of the synagogue of the temple of Israel. The law overflows with wisdom like the Pison River and like the Tigris River at fruit picking time. The law brims over with understanding like the Euphrates River and like the Jordan River at harvest time. It sparkled with teaching like the Nile River and like the Gihon River at grape picking time. The first human being, which was Adam, and then Shava, called Eve commonly, the first human being ever created never knew wisdom completely, and the last person on earth will be no more successful. The possibility of wisdom, Yahuwah wisdom, is vaster than the ocean. And wisdom, she is referred to as she or her. It's not a it, as they say in the churches, because in most of the Bible and in the Proverbs, the word of Elohim referred to wisdom as a or a she. Her resources are more profound than the deepest water beneath the earth. So that is all about the law and about wisdom. And this one, my little teaching today, is about the third commandment and how important it is for us to honor and keep the third commandment, and because it's all about respecting and reverencing our perfect Father, Yahuwah Sabaoth Yod-Heh-Vah-Veh, that they call God in the Bible, and honoring his son called Yahushua, who is, his name is the Word of Elohim. That's his name. So the name and the word goes together perfectly, and the word is the law, the commandments, which we should all honor and keep. The name of Yahuwah is Yahweh Shem, as I said, and it's I just have to read this little part about the Shem of Yahuwah. So the Shem, the breath of Elohim, describe and convey to us an action or an occurrence or a state of being, and the perfect example is in Genesis 1, which I just read, Genesis 1, verse 26 to 28, where Yahuwah, our perfect Father, causes his breath, his essence, his Shem, himself, to breathe and to create, or place within Adam a shadow, a picture, a prototype, and a representation of his being. The name or the Shem, the breath, the authority, the characteristic, the integrity, the virtue of Elohim, the bond of Elohim, the law of Elohim, the Shem of Elohim is so much more than Abba just breathing in and out. It's more than just breathing in and out like that. It's about Abba Father. It's about our perfect Father imputing and assigning and ascribing Elohim's internal attributes, his qualities, his characteristic, into Adam to have dominion over Abba's Father created world, and to rule the world in righteousness and in holiness and in purity, with justice, equity, with the fruit of the Spirit, which is love, joy. And this is our mandate today. We are supposed to develop and grow and use the fruit of the Spirit to have dominion over Yahuwah's world. So this is my little message about the third commandment. So thank you for listening to me, and shalom, shalom.